All right, we all know that today Janet Yellen said that we're going to taper again, as expected, and in addition to that, more Fed officials see at least 1% Fed funds rate by the end of 2015. So, if you want to look at that, I think that some people may argue that spooked the market. But while everyone's talking about this, I've noticed something that no one's really talking about. And what I see over here is oil. It's around $100.40. And when you start to see people talk about tightening, you would expect that oil prices should be much lower. I was originally shorting oil, but then I got out of it last week, and the reason why I got out of it was because A, Russia, and then two, there was cold weather beforehand. So I said, like, okay, this is slow money. Just gonna take low profits that I had and then get out of this position. Long story short, oil is still above $100. And if you started to see what happened in 2006, 2007, when we're in the mode of tightening, I could show you the graph. Oil prices were much, much lower. Obviously, they were much lower because you didn't have that financial collapse. You didn't have all this quantitative easing. Not quantitative easing, but all these open market operations, which happened after 2007. But I could show you a graph of what happened. So, what happened in 2007, 2008, we all know. I showed this graph in a previous video sometime in February. But in the blue, Fed funds rate, 5.25. This is the average, by the way, so just wanted to point that out. Oil prices here in red. So August 2007, roughly around $70 a barrel. Here in the blue, 5.25. Subprime started to blow up slowly but steadily. Interest rates they started to have lowered, and how they did that via open market operations. Oil prices then went up as a result of that, or one of the reasons, because of the weak dollar, negative real interest rates, easy money going into oil. And if you want to look at what's going on right now, we're slowly but steadily starting to tighten. And since we are tightening right now, and you still see oil above $100.40, while in 2007 it was roughly around 70 some dollars, that is a bit wary. And the reason why that is a bit wary, in my opinion, is because suppose Janet Yellen unwinds this taper. Suppose she does start to raise interest rates, let's say to 1%, the Fed funds rate, and then the market experiences some sort of shock because of that, or there's some unforeseen circumstance that's going on around the world. Maybe China, right? I've talked about China. Or another bubble that's popping up. And they want to, not a bubble, but something is bursting and they want to try to contain this as long as possible. So they decide to ease. And in my opinion, we're going to see something like this again, where Fed funds go down, or they start to loosen monetary policy even more than where it is right now. And as a result, oil prices will go up. And there could be another external factor, such as Arab Spring 3.0. And another factor is what the Russians may do. Okay, now let's look at what's going on in Russia. I'm looking at this on the Houston Chronicle. Russia. Iran nuke talks may suffer over Ukraine. Remember how Obama just levied sanctions on Russia and Russia retaliated? Well, here's another unintended consequence that really no one's talking about. Let's just read a little bit of it. U.S.-Russian tensions over Ukraine spilled over into nuclear talks with Iran Wednesday, with Moscow's chief envoy at the negotiations warning that his country may take retaliatory measures that could hurt attempts to persuade Tehran to cut back on programs that could make atomic arms. The statement made by Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei, I can't pronounce his last name, R, appeared to be the most serious threat of reprisal by Moscow for Western sanctions against Russia over its annexation of Ukraine's Crimea region. So, let's just look at it. Russia is going to flex its muscles, and they're going to try to mess around with measures that will piss off the U.S. government. Whether you like it or not, that doesn't matter. This is what Russia is going to do. In my opinion, the Russians, via doing this and other measures that they could retaliate, they could create all sorts of problems for DC. And because of that, you may see oil trade much higher than what Janet Yellen would like to do. So even in the midst of tightening, you could potentially see higher oil prices than what Janet Yellen likes. And remember, when oil prices go much higher, that's what creates problems for the middle class. It preceded many of the recessions that happened after World War II, and it just seems that the next recession, some may say 2016, 2015, 2016, you could see precursors to that recession based on what's going on in the oil market and with this petrodollar system and this Russian situation. I don't think it's going to die down. What's going to end up happening is they're going to find ways to piss off Obama and all these neocons in government. But all I see, in my opinion, higher oil prices. Part of the reason, monetary policy. Second, Russia. And then who knows what could happen in the Middle East. Arab Spring 3.0. I have to do a video on that. But anyways, guys, thanks for listening. Talk to you later. Bye.